Well, hello there and welcome to the bathroom of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Used Elfers for November 25th, the day of sustained effort. And here at the top of the page is a visual representation of the day of sustained effort. We have us an image. Can you guess what it is? What it represents today? Boom, it's a picnic basket, and I guess like a ladle with a point on it, whatever that particular utensil's called. I don't know. Is that an adequate representation of your day? Who's to say? I don't know if that speaks to sustained effort, but maybe as we get on with the read, we can make some kind of connotation for as much. But not altogether too important. No, it's November 25th, so what's important is it's your birthday and me wishing you a happy birthday. That's what's important. But if this video finds you late, I don't know, days, weeks, months, whatever the case may be, you're probably a busy individual, not exactly searching the internet for your birthday. But if that happens to be the case, I just want to say, I hope you had a happy birthday. That's right. But for everybody else who's joining us, I don't know, to celebrate ideally, well, I just want to say hello, welcome, and hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before we dive in with the redirect, something I like to do around these here parts, and that's roll some dice. That's right. This is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so I like to live up to the namesake and roll some dice. But I do so more importantly for synchronicity's sake. And I don't know if that's the same numbers I had there showing, but I rolled a 6 and a 5, 4, and 11. Now, what's synchronicity, you might be wondering? Well, it's just you getting out into the world and letting the universe show you it's with you on your path. And a lot of times it's helpful to have a little bit of a waypost or a sign, if you like. So numbers are a great thing to go by. You don't have to go with the numbers I rolled you, but it is a good idea to take your own set of dice. Roll yourself your daily number, also get some directional values, ascribe them to some number sets, and you also want to set some time limits with which to go in those directions. Get yourself a nice little pattern going, and then what you do is you just keep on the lookout for your signs. That's right, your 6 and your 5 for an 11, or anything anomalous that might creep up. I don't know, maybe you see somebody carrying a picnic basket. All right, we got that in mind, right? So you know what? Maybe that's the universe, just an ability of the universe to give you a sign. That a lot of times we get out in the world and we're very singular of focus, going after those errands directly. We're not really reacting to the things around us because we got the blinders on, if you like. This is one of those ways to kind of blow that off there and just get ourselves ingrained in our world, if you like. And you know what? And since we have that mutually agreed upon thing, that sign with the universe, hey, it's just going to allow us to keep on the lookout for those things and jump at them when we see it. And maybe you get to the end of your time limit there and there's nothing going on, so you just stop, compose yourself, and who knows, maybe the number 11 bus shows up, or the number 65 bus pulls up. You know what? Hey, I know you probably don't ride the bus altogether all too often, or maybe even at all, but hey, maybe you just so happen to have perfect change in your pocket. Hey, get on the bus, ride that thing. I know you don't want to, but you know what? This is a day of expanding our horizons by and large. So jump on there and maybe roll yourself some dice just to see how long to roll it for, to ride it for. You know what I'm saying? Maybe by the time that time limit's up, it comes to a stop. And hey, maybe it's the number 6 stop. You know what? Things are just lining up for you. Go on, get off the bus, see what you see. Maybe you happen to be in front of a building with, I don't know, a 56 in the address. You know what? Go on in there, see what it is. Maybe it's a business. Maybe they sell, I don't know, sterling silver utensils. And you can find out the name of that pointed ladle. Let me know down in the comments. I don't know. I know it sounds a little arcane and a little bit, I don't know, coincidence, who's to say? But if you get out there and you start seeing these things line up, whatever the case may be for you, I think you're going to see, taste, touch, and feel, maybe even smell a little bit of the magic there, what I'm cooking up for you. And if you do, I think you're going to understand why I presented it for you. But even it's your birthday, you got to get out there, do something fun. Maybe you'll wear a jacket. It's probably cold out considering the time period we're in. But in any event, I think you get the idea. So let's get on with your birthday read, shall we? Your month is November. Your day, the 25th. Your sign is 2 to 4 degrees. Sagittarius of the Sagittarius I period specifically. The first day of it. So how about that? And your quality and elements is mutable fire. All right, November 25th, the day of sustained effort. Those born on November 25 know how to save their energy for the long haul. However, this is not to suggest that they wait for things to happen. They make them happen! Exclamation point. Dynamic and productive, they also have a reserved side of their personality that lends them dignity. No matter how energetic they are in their daily occupation, in one-on-one relationships, they reveal a sensitive, thoughtful, even quiet personality. There is nothing chaotic about the abundant energy they display. Though dynamic, it flows evenly and smoothly. November 25 people often prefer both working and being alone. Yet an unmistakable theme in their lives is an attachment, usually through birth, marriage, or succession, it says in parentheticals, to another powerful individual. For a time, a November 25 person can be overshadowed by this individual, but sooner or later will break away to make his or her own of it. And this relationship can go on for many years in a harmonious, symbiotic fashion, but often through death, divorce, or outright rebellion. The November 25 person emerges as a power in his or her own right and demands separate and distinct recognition. Such a situation often comes into being due to a November 25 person's dreams and fantasies when young that involve the admiration of one or more romantic figures. It is not surprising that November 25 people deeply admire capable and talented individuals. Achievement is a god for those born on this day. They are driven to realize great success in their given field, and if they fail to do so, can suffer breakdowns and deep depressions. Another danger is that they can work so hard and effectively that they make themselves indispensable to those who rely on them, and therefore find it hard to move on to other endeavors, be flexible in lifestyle, or even retire. Usually one or more hobbies at home are just waiting to replace the regular job. And particularly in later life, those born on this day may wish to retreat to a life of contemplation and spiritual study. And most often in career, those born on this day place excellence first, power second, and money third. Yet they are giving as well, and they do not hesitate to share their good fortune, of course on their own terms, it says in parentheticals. And indeed, November 25 people usually leave a fine legacy, whether it be in the form of a well-raised family, wealth and property, or contributions to arts and sciences. And a high moral sense is built into the November 25 personality. Due to their sometimes codified ideas of right and wrong, those born this day have to avoid imposing their value systems on others. And they must also be mindful of growing overly rigid and authoritarian. Exceptions of all types can create difficulties for November 25 people. It is therefore in their long-term interests to resist forming hard and fast opinions about people and circumstances that lock all concerned into static postures and relationships. Well, all right. I don't know how well-rounded this particular day was. It was a little singular and narrow a focus, but I would say there was a lot of value in what it contributed regardless of as much. So how about we dive into a little bit of a commentary I like to provide on these days here. So let's dive into some notes I got here. But maybe I find the right page first here. Stand by. Here we go. All right, here we go. November 25, the day of sustained effort. You know how to save your energy for the long haul, the reading said. And you know how to make things happen. Huge. It's huge, all right? But despite how dynamic and productive you are, there's a reserved side to your personality as well that lends a dignity that apparently comes out in your personal relationships for what sounds like a pretty stark juxtaposition with the energetic side you give to your work, which sounds endearing in a way, I would argue, at least the way I perceive it, okay? You save that reserved side for those you care about. And then you put that drive towards your work. All right. And while you may prefer working or being alone, the reading claims that there may be an attachment to another individual who may overshadow you until you're of the ability or the desire to cut ties and go out on your own and claim a separate, distinct power and recognition. That said, that achievement is said to be a god for you, all right, or achievement in general, rather, which the reading makes a case for your draw to talented individuals, all right, those whom maybe subconsciously, maybe you're seeking to emulate or help yourself realize how to realize your own dreams through them. Maybe they're kind of helping you along your way, and but you're seeing it as kind of a draw to them in a different way. Maybe that's not what it is at all. At least that's what I'm proposing. To which you're said to be so driven by success of as much that you may be prone to suffer breakdowns and depression if the success of such dreams isn't realized. The reading further complicates this dynamic by relating the possibility of finding yourself in a place that's hard to move on from, even though there are other objectives waiting for you in the wings. So tough decisions seem to be a through line for you, at least as far as the breakdown is concerned, at least the way I'm interpreting it, right? It's also hard to leave those behind that kind of helped us get to where we were going, right? But you know what? If they were kind of holding us back, it's understandable. But, it's still kind of bittersweet, I would argue. But who am I to say? Maybe the dynamic's totally different for you. But I'd argue it's a great place to be, regardless of whatever difficulties you might have, all right? Too many people are rudderless or aimless, right? And they're just itching for purpose or direction. And it sounds as though you probably have that, even if it's difficult. All these things we achieve, it just keeps building up. And when we're on that new precipice, hey, there's all sorts of other different challenges out there for us. Although people wouldn't necessarily understand, but there we are, right? Got to deal with it. So in any event, what else do we have here? You're said to place excellent first, power second, and money third, which I appreciate, right? We can't let it be our God. Your God is the dreams, right? And your desire to get after them. And you don't hesitate to help others and share your good fortune. And you leave a fine legacy, it said. Commendable, I would argue. And really, what else can you ask for? All right? Because I'm assuming money follows all that, right? Even if it comes in third place for you. All right. To me, all that sounds just choice, okay? Just mind the inevitable difficulties we mentioned that you're bound to face, and make sure they don't make you rigid, okay? You got to keep them dreams alive, and be available to those that you want in your life, right? If you're rigid, it might put some of those folks off, I would think. So stay that dreamy course. All right, that's right. Now, that's what I had to say about the breakdown. Let's move on to your numbers and your planets. All right. Those born on the 25th day of the month are ruled by the number 7, as 2 + 5 = 7, and by the watery planet Neptune. The connection between Neptune and Jupiter, which is the planetary ruler of Sagittarius, can signal inherited gifts, high idealism, and compassion. However, on the other hand, it can also point to unreal and misleading visions of all sorts. And those ruled by the number 7 traditionally like change and travel. Well, all right. Highly personalized day to some extent, but rather sparse, surprisingly. What did I have to say about it? Let's see if I can pick up some of the slack here. Let's see here. Boom. Again, I'm all disoriented with the notes here. Here we go. The number 7 in the dreamy, profound planet Neptune. I know they didn't mention that, but it is written elsewhere in the book. At least that's how it's described elsewhere, as I wrote. And I'd argue it's a more apt description than the watery planet for you specifically. Your connection between Neptune and Jupiter, the expansive planet with drives to be on top. That's what that tends to impart. And also elements of luck, as I read elsewhere. You're said to be part inherited gifts and high idealism. Imparted high gift. It's supposed to impart inherited gifts, high idealism, and compassion. All right. But it's also responsible for misleading visions when coupled with Neptune, apparently. But Neptune's also said to have a dissolving effect on rigid natures. They didn't mention that here, but I read it in the book. So, hey, maybe that's going to help you avoid that rigid nature they warned about. But there was a warning of as much for you in that regard there. So, as I said. But perhaps Jupiter also imparts more than just some of your more desirable qualities. You know, that drive, that come out on top type thing. Very interesting that this dynamic seems to help realize you. So I would argue it really highly spoke to what was mentioned in the breakdown. So hopefully I picked up a little bit of the slack, and it was a sparse reading there, and a little disjointed read on my part of my own notes. But hey, that's how it goes with one shot, one take sometimes. All right, and horrible penmanship. In any event, that's been your numbers and your planets. Let's move on with your tarot. One of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies. But hey, we don't have to take it home with us and start dealing out the cards to inspire or direct our every whim and flight of fancy. And it's your birthday, so let's, again, broaden our horizons, see what it has to say. Maybe it'll inform a little bit more context to some of the stuff we've read. So let's see what it has to say here. The number 7 card of the major arcana is the Chariot, which shows a triumphant figure moving through the world, manifesting his physical presence in a dynamic way. Sound like someone we know? That's right. The card may be interpreted to mean that no matter how narrow or precarious the correct path, one must continue on. And the good side of this card posits success, talent, and efficiency. And the bad side, well, that suggests a dictatorial attitude and a poor sense of direction. All right. Total copy-paste job with the tarot. They didn't personalize it for you. But you know what? Sometimes it's a trade-off with the numbers and planets and such. Let's see what I had to say about the Chariot here. The Chariot, the triumphant figure moving through the world, manifesting its presence in a dynamic way. Like I said, sounds apt, right? Card posits success, talent, and efficiency, and negatives of a dictatorial attitude and a poor sense of direction. Lots of discussion about all this success, but it kind of neglects those who might not be realizing any of these what did I write here? Gifts. That's right. Any of these said gifts. What if you just don't have those, but it says that these people do? Well, I'm missing out, right? Assuming that's the case, I just say keep pressing. Keep going forward, all right? Keep driving. Don't get dissuaded. If you haven't realized your dreams yet or found a way to maybe have dreams, I don't know. Just keep going. It says that this stuff is going to come to you. So just have some faith. Keep pressing on. Keep doing you. Stay on the path. Be the Chariot, all right? A lot of times I never really thought about that. It says you have all these gifts. What if you're the individual that doesn't, all right? I would say maybe you just haven't found the right niche to get into. And once you do, if you just keep going forward, keep doing you, you're bound to find something. You know, it's about putting in the work and finding the time to put in the work. But we'll get to that here in a little bit. So that's been your tarot, the Chariot. Keep on your path. It's the right one, it sounds like. And you're going to find that fortune that you're looking for. Money, power. What was the other one? I don't recall, but we'll find out. You're going to find it, all right? Stay diligent. All right, your tarot. Let's move on to your health. All right, your health. November 25 people usually display a highly constant and positive attitude toward life, all right? And they must be careful how they expend their energy, however, and beware of individuals who, through envy or desire, will wish to latch on to them in an imposing manner. Thus, November 25 people may have to be a bit more guarded and learn how to say no. That's right. And those born on this day should take particular care of their legs and watch out for circulatory problems as they get older, e.g., varicosities and the like. And they should pay more attention to eating habits since they tend to either overeat or forget to eat at all due to circumstances, it says. Regularly scheduled meals are recommended that emphasize fresh vegetables, although protein requirements may have to be satisfied through dairy and or meat, poultry, or fish, it says in parentheticals. Exercise or lack of it rarely presents a problem for these active individuals. All right, hey, what I have to say about your health here. Let's get into it. Usually a constant positive attitude toward life, and hence energy and hangers-on are a concern. All right. What do we got here? Pitfalls of success and the drive others lack, I would say. All right. Don't be afraid to say no. Huge advice, and a lot of people can't do it. Surprisingly, I say no a lot of times because I got too many things on my own plate I'm trying to get accomplished. So you have to say no to folks. So like I said, huge advice, but a little suspiciously placed, all right? I suppose it could be considered a benefit to your mental health, right? But here in the health, why are they suggesting what you should do to other folks? I don't know. Like I said, a little misplaced, something you might normally find in the breakdown itself. But you know what? They might have ran out of some room, so they we'll just put it in the health. Who's to say? Care for your legs and circulatory system is mentioned as you get older. Interestingly, hips, thighs, veins, muscles, and the liver are Sagittarius body areas. And this is the first day of the Sagittarius I proper. Moving out of that cusp from the Scorpios there. Taking your own lane, if you like. So that's probably why they mentioned as much. What do we got here? Eating habits to be watched and efforted to be made regular. Surprising. I don't think I may have seen once or twice, but I don't remember it. Not eating at all. That's interesting. So make sure you get a fairly consistent diet there. But if you're always active, exercise isn't necessarily a concern, it said. So I'm assuming moderate if you're one of the more sedentary individuals. But in any event, that's your health. So let's move on to some advice. All right, your advice. Beware of being judgmental and condemning. I wonder where that's coming from. Establish yourself independently and avoid harmful attachments and fantasies. Let up your compulsiveness and aim to be more communicative. All right, there's your advice. Let's see if I got any advice in the notes here. Okay, beware your judgment. Perhaps easy to do if you're surrounded by hangers-on and or lazy people. That's right. They're trying to take some of that power and drive of yours. Or at least people who seem lazy in comparison. That's right. I would say you're someone who needs to be mindful of the fact that you have a drive that other people don't possess. And so it's not normal, all right? At least as compared to other folks. So make sure you keep that in mind. Other people may seem lazy, but when compared to you, of course it is. Compared to other folks, maybe it isn't. So maybe they aren't hangers-on. Just reserve your judgment there a little bit. Hard to compare other folks to yourself, right? Let's see here. Establish your independence. Don't be your own kind of hanger-on, all right? That's right. I said maybe early on in life you're kind of that way, but again, you're just developing. You're figuring yourself out there. Let's see. So don't be more than a hanger-on than you need to, all right? Lest you form set attachments and dreams of others that you may come to believe are yours. That's right. This is probably that early life kind of thing. You might start to take on someone else's dreams and think they're yours because you're so fixed on their success and in turn your own to some extent. But maybe it's not so much yours, right? I know it also said you're helpful for other folks and sometimes you get locked in on a job or something. You know what? Maybe that's exactly what you want to do, but maybe in your heart of hearts it isn't. You got other things in the background. Like it said, don't be afraid to say no there. What else do we have here? So don't get too consumed in your dreams and drive. Communication is huge, all right? Not sure why it's mentioned in here, but perhaps in the thick of your drive, you succumb to maybe bottling up. You're just too reserved. You're too focused on your own stuff. Get them blinders on. Don't be afraid to let folks know what's going on, all right? And don't neglect that release either. Sometimes we got to communicate what's going on so that we can free up, let some of the weight off, give ourselves some freedom to breathe. Maybe that's what they're getting at. I don't know. I didn't really pick any of that up in the breakdown or anything. But who's to say? I'd say that's good information in general, or good advice rather in general. But in any event, that's been your advice. So let's move on to your meditation. All right, your meditation. Ooh, here's a mouthful for me. Let me see if I can get it. The didactic principle grants us far more than a doubling of energy to two people joined in an endeavor. Dyadic, perhaps. I might be pronouncing it wrong. Let's say it once more, even though I'm probably messing it up. The dyadic principle grants far more than a doubling of energy to two people joined in an endeavor. All right, hey, I've got my own spin on that, my thoughts about what it might be, but it's your birthday, your meditation. I'm going to leave that just for you. It wouldn't help you if I was inspiring it, right? Well, maybe it would, but you know what? Again, I'm going to leave that for you. So that's been your meditation, mouthful as it was. Let's move on to your strengths and weaknesses. That's right. Let's hold up the objective mirror and see what we see. Your strengths, you're constant, you're thorough, you're accomplished. Oh, but your weaknesses. That's right. Let's flip that objective mirror around to the one that blows up your face, shows off all the blemishes, all the things you try to throw the Botox in to hide. That's right, like the pock marks when you had the chicken pox as a 12-year-old. Even though the Botox don't help with that, as far as I know. In any event, yeah, let's get into your weaknesses here. Can you guess what they are? Your weaknesses. Here we go. Nothing you haven't heard before. You're judgmental, you're rigid, and you're authoritarian. That's right. Things can only be done one way. That's my way. And I can't be bowed. I can't be bowed. I will not change. I'm too rigid in that way. Hey, listen, you know what? You're constant, you're thorough, and you're accomplished. You know what? I would say if those weaknesses are something you want to change, you've got the power and drive to do so with your strengths. That's right. I don't know, maybe not your strengths, constant, thorough, and accomplished. You know what? I would say you probably have to be judgmental, rigid, and authoritarian to realize those things. But again, you're dedicated too, I would say. So if you want to change your weaknesses, I think you're going to do it. That's right. You got the ability. And stay dreamy, all right? So your strengths and weaknesses haven't been given over, reviewed if you like. Let's move on to those born on this day. That's right. Let's see who shares your company. That's right. But as we segue into those born on this day, something I like to do, and I said we was going to mention it, and that's figuring out our passions. I find it very important to figure out our passions so that we know how to make life not just tolerable, but enjoyable. But it's difficult for a lot of folks. Maybe not you, but maybe just a few of you, like I said earlier. And it's understandable we can't figure out our passions sometimes because we get out of school right into a job we don't necessarily like. And maybe it's just easy because we figure out how to do that and we start rising that corporate ladder. But you know what? At the root of it, it wasn't something that we ever had an interest in doing. It was just there to put the money on the table, right? Get the food out, the roof over our head and all that. So I think it's important that we figure out what our passions are. What's going to get us out of bed doing backflips to get into our day. That's right. And I think this day really focused on quite a bit of that. But again, that assumes that you know what you want to do. Now, let's go with the assumption that you don't, or you haven't figured it out yet because you haven't had the time to put in the work to do it. Well, I think this is the perfect opportunity to not only see who shares your birthday, but to see what they did, what made them famous, what got them in the book. And maybe we can take some kind of inspiration from that. And maybe it wasn't even their passions that got them famous, but who's to say? You know what? Maybe it was. And maybe if even if you can't take inspiration from what they did, maybe me putting the bug in your ear about it is gonna stir up the fires for you to start putting in the work, carving out the time to figure it out. Or if you do know what your passions are, maybe you just don't know how to make them financially viable because you haven't put in the time and effort to do that either. So maybe we can get after it here. But let's get into it, shall we? Those born on this day. We start off with Andrew Carnegie, the Scottish-born industrialist, and he founded U.S. Steel Corporation and was a philanthropist. There's somebody that had some drive. We also have Tina Turner, the singer and entertainer. We have Jolton Joe DiMaggio, the New York Yankees center fielder, an all-time record for hitting in consecutive games. 56, it says in brackets. And the 3-time MVP, 2-time AL hits, RBI, and home run leader, married Marilyn Monroe. All right, we also have Carrie Nation, a temperance activist. And we also have Pope John XIII, a scholar and an intellectual. We also have Carl Friedrich Benz, a German 19th century automobile inventor and an engineer. We also have Ba Jin, born Li Yatong, probably saying that wrong. We'll rectify that here. Chinese writer, journalist, and wrote the Trilogy of Love. We also have Helen Gagan Douglas, a film actress and 3-time U.S. Congresswoman of California. Chased her dreams, that's right, and then went into public service. You know what? I'd say that fits the day aptly to some extent. Augusto Pinchot. Getting that all wrong. But you know what? Like I said, we'll rectify that later. Chilean dictator, general, and he overthrew Allende. So we got the dictatorial attitude on that one in spades. That's right. Trisha Brown, choreographer and dancer. Joe Gibbs, football coach, and led the Washington Redskins to 3 Super Bowl titles. We also have Lopez de la Vega, Spanish 16th, 17th century dramatist. We have Nat Adderley, jazz trumpeter and a cornetist, as well as a composer. We also have Paul Desmond, the jazz alto saxophonist. We're keeping on with the trend. We get a lot of jazz saxophonists as the days go by. Wilhelm Kempf, a German pianist and a composer. Ricardo Montalban, film and TV actor. We also have Lenny Wilkins, a basketball player and a coach. We also have Virgil Thompson, a composer, critic, and a writer. We also have Catherine Grant Crosby, a film actress and a TV hostess, and John F. Kennedy Jr., the lawyer and youngest child of JFK. A lot of politicians, sports athletes in there. Then we also had some singers, songwriters. What else were in there? Musicians, actors, philanthropists. I tell you what, the whole gamut of what was considered in the breakdown was there in the day. And we had a dictator on top of it, even though Pinochet, I can't remember how I said his name. But, oh, that's right, I'll remind me here. I messed up some names there. Since I butchered there, let's butcher here. That's right, we got to make up for it. I'm not doing it in malice, it's just hooked on phonics. Doesn't work for me with a lot of the names there. In any event, that's been those born on this day. Like I said, I know it's probably hard to take some inspiration from that, but maybe you did. I don't know, but maybe just hearing me spout on about it, it's going to help you stir up the fires. If anything I can hope for you on your birthday, it's that. So in any event, that essentially rounds out your birthday read, except to say, your season is fall, your sign once again is Sagittarius, of the Sagittarius I period specifically. Your quality and elements is mutable fire. What is that? Well, that's a different video entirely. I'll leave it at the end there for you to check out if you're interested. That being said, this has been November 25th, the day of sustained effort. Just like my read here, that's right. From The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Hugh Stelfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description. Save you the hassle of having to type it in a browser if you're interested in picking up a copy. And it supports the channel in the bargain, which I appreciate. But hey, this makes a great coffee table book, especially if you have company over, you're throwing a party, and you're having trouble maybe getting that ice broken. Let me tell you something. Throw this thing down there. Read some folks' birthdays. See if it speaks to them. If you know these folks, you might just see it lines up, and you'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be surprised to see that they're going to be like, that doesn't sound like me at all. And you'd be like, oh my Lord, it does. But you know what? Like I said, it's going to get the conversation started. Maybe for better or for worse, but hey, that's what it is. So in any event, that's the book. I know that's not altogether all too important, especially in the context of the fact, like I said at the top, it's somebody's birthday. That's right. So once again, what's important here, wishing you a happy birthday. I hope you have one for sure. But for everybody else who joined us, well, I hope you enjoyed yourself and you join us for your birthday read. That's right. But let's not forget, that's right, your daily numbers. Get out there, see, taste, touch, feel, maybe even smell the magic. And if you do, you're going to see why I brought it up in the first place. Like I said, I just, got to have some fun on your birthday, right? That's right. Stay dreamy, broaden your horizons, and I don't know, keep that drive going. That's right. You're going to find your dreams if you hadn't found them yet. All right? If you put in the work. That's right. It requires the work. That's right. Anyway, stay dreamy. Happy birthday.